The Christmas my family finally paid. You ever have that moment where everything you thought you knew about the people you loved just shatters, where the smile you wore for years cracks wide open and all the rage, all the pain, all the humiliation comes pouring out like a flood you can't control? That's what happened to me this Christmas, the Christmas everything changed. They thought I'd forgot. They thought I'd forgiven. They thought I was still that quiet, obedient girl who would take their cruelty with a smile and move on like nothing ever happened. But you know what? People underestimate the quiet ones. They underestimate what we remember, what we carry, what we're capable of when pushed too far. And if you've ever been the scapegoat, the punching bag, the one everyone blamed for everything, stick around. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me if you've ever felt invisible in your own family. Because this story is for every single one of us who was told to just let it go. But I didn't let it go, I couldn't, and this Christmas they finally understood why. It started 3 weeks before Christmas. I was standing in the kitchen of my small apartment staring at the email on my phone. The subject line read, "Family Christmas Dinner, December 25th, you're expected to be there." Expected, not invited, expected. My finger hovered over the delete button, but I didn't press it. Instead, I read the message from my mother. "Amber, we're having Christmas dinner at the house this year. Everyone will be there, your brother, your sister, your cousins. It's been 3 years since you've come home. Enough is enough. We're family. Act like it." Act like it. Those 3 words made my blood boil. Act like family after what they did to me, after they humiliated me, blamed me, destroyed my reputation, and then acted like I was the problem for walking away. I closed my eyes and let the memories flood back. Memories I'd spent 3 years trying to bury. I was 22 when it happened, fresh out of college, living at home while I saved money for my own place. My older sister Vanessa was 28 and already married to Derek, this successful finance guy who drove a BMW and wore expensive suits. Vanessa was the golden child, always had been. Perfect grades, perfect career, perfect husband, perfect life. And then there was me, the afterthought, the one who was just okay at everything, the one who never quite measured up. My younger brother Josh was 19 and still living at home, working part-time and playing video games in the basement. He was the baby, so he got away with everything. But me, I was stuck in the middle, invisible unless I messed up. Then suddenly I was the center of attention for all the wrong reasons. It was July when Vanessa's marriage started falling apart. She'd show up at the house crying, mascara streaking down her face, claiming Derek was distant, cold, maybe even cheating. My parents ate it up. Poor Vanessa, perfect Vanessa, was suffering and everyone needed to rally around her. I felt bad for her, I really did. So when she asked me to talk to Derek to maybe feel him out and see if he'd open up about what was going on, I said yes. Big mistake. Derek and I met for coffee one afternoon. He seemed stressed, exhausted. He told me Vanessa was suffocating him, that she was obsessed with appearances, that their marriage felt like a performance instead of a partnership. I listened. I gave him advice. I told him marriage was hard but worth fighting for. That was it, one conversation, 1 hour, nothing inappropriate, nothing secretive. But Vanessa didn't see it that way. 2 weeks later, she found a text on Derek's phone, a text from me, just a follow-up message asking if he was doing okay, innocent, supportive. Vanessa exploded. She told my parents I was trying to steal her husband. She told our extended family I was jealous of her, that I'd always been jealous and now I was trying to ruin her marriage. She cried and screamed and played the victim so convincingly that everyone believed her. No one asked for my side of the story, no one questioned her, they just turned on me. My mother called me a homewrecker, my father said I was a disgrace, Josh looked at me like I was a stranger. And Vanessa, she stood there with tears streaming down her face, acting like I'd betrayed her in the worst possible way. I tried to explain, I tried to show them the texts to prove there was nothing going on, but Vanessa had already poisoned the well. She told them I deleted the real messages. She said Derek admitted I'd been flirting with him. She lied, and they believed her. Derek didn't defend me, he didn't tell the truth. He just stayed silent and let Vanessa destroy me because it was easier than dealing with her wrath. I moved out 2 days later. I cut contact with all of them. I rebuilt my life from scratch. New apartment, new job, new friends. I buried TH. I pain deep and told myself I was better off without them. But the pain never really went away, it just festered. And now, 3 years later, they wanted me back like nothing had happened, like they hadn't shattered me. I stared at my mother's email and felt that old familiar rage bubbling up inside me. We're family, act like it. No apology, no acknowledgement of what they'd done, just an expectation that I'd show up and pretend everything was fine. For a moment, I considered ignoring it, deleting the email and moving on with my life. But then I thought about Vanessa, about how she'd faced no consequences for her lies, about how she'd gotten everything she wanted while I lost everything. And I thought about my parents, about how they'd chosen her over me without a second thought. And I thought about the years of being invisible, of being the scapegoat, of being blamed for things that weren't my fault. And something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to ignore this email, I wasn't going to let them off the hook. I was going to that Christmas dinner, but I wasn't going to play nice. I was going to make them pay. The next 2 weeks were a blur of planning. I wasn't just going to show up and cause a scene. No, this had to be strategic, calculated, devastating. I started by reaching out to Derek. I hadn't spoken to him since that day 3 years ago, but I still had his number. I sent him a text. "Hey, it's Amber, I know it's been a while, I need to talk to you, it's important." He didn't respond for 2 days, then finally. "What do you want?" Direct, cold, typical Derek. "The truth about what really happened 3 years ago. I'm going to see my family at Christmas and I think it's time they knew what Vanessa did." Another long pause, then. "Meet me tomorrow, 2 p.m., the coffee shop on 5th. I showed up early, my heart pounding. I didn't know what to expect. Part of me thought he wouldn't show, but at 2:03 p.m. Derek walked through the door. He looked older, tired. There were dark circles under his eyes and his suit looked wrinkled. He sat down across from me without ordering anything. "Why now?" he asked. "Why after 3 years?" "Because I'm done being the villain in a story I didn't write," I said. "Because they destroyed me and you let them, and because Vanessa needs to face the consequences of what she did." Derek exhaled slowly. He looked down at his hands. "She knows," he said quietly. "She knows what?" "She knows she lied. She knows there was nothing between us. She's always known." My stomach dropped. "Then why?" "Because she was scared," Derek said. "Scared I was going to leave her, scared she wasn't enough, so she made you the threat, she made you the enemy so I'd feel guilty and stay." I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. "And you just went along with it." "I was a coward," he admitted. "I didn't want to deal with her meltdowns, her accusations. It was easier to stay quiet. I'm not proud of it." "You ruined my life." "I know." We sat in silence for a long moment. "Are you still with her?" I asked. He shook his head. "We separated 8 months ago. Divorce is almost finalized." "Does my family know?" "I don't think so. She's been keeping it quiet, doesn't want people to know the perfect marriage fell apart." A dark, twisted smile crept across my face. "Good," I said, "then she won't see this coming." Derek looked at me, and for the first time, I saw something like respect in his eyes. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to that Christmas dinner," I said, "and I'm going to tell the truth, all of it, and you're going to help me." He hesitated, then nodded. "Okay." Over the next week, Derek and I met 3 more times. Each meeting, we went over the plan. He told me everything, how Vanessa had manipulated the situation, how she'd twisted his words to make me look guilty, how she'd threatened to take everything in a divorce if he didn't back her story. He also told me about the other lies, the times she'd blamed me for things I hadn't done when we were younger, the times she'd sabotaged my relationships, my job opportunities, my friendships, all because she saw me as competition. "She's always been jealous of you," Derek said during our 4th meeting. "You don't see it, but you have something she'll never have. You're genuine, real. She's always putting on a show." I didn't know whether to feel validated or sick. "Why are you helping me now?" I asked, "after all this time?" Derek looked out the window of the coffee shop. Snow was starting to fall outside. "Because I'm tired of being part of her games," he said, And because what we did to you was wrong, I can't take it back, but I can at least try to make it right. I wanted to believe him, part of me did, but another part of me wondered if this was just another manipulation, another game. But I didn't have a choice, I needed him if this was going to work. Christmas Eve arrived and I could barely sleep. My apartment felt suffocating. The walls closing in as I ran through the plan over and over in my head. Derek had agreed to come to the dinner. He'd told Vanessa he wanted to try to reconcile, that Christmas was a time for family and healing. She'd bought it. Of course she had. She always thought she was smarter than everyone else. But she had no idea what was coming. I spent the morning getting ready. I picked out a simple red dress, nothing too flashy, nothing that screamed, "I'm here to start a war." I wanted to look calm, composed, in control. Because I was. I made myself breakfast but couldn't eat. My stomach was in knots. I kept checking my phone, looking at the folder of evidence I'd compiled, text messages, phone records, even a recording of one of my conversations with Derek where he admitted everything. I'd also reached out to my old roommate from college, Maya. She'd been there during the whole nightmare 3 years ago. She'd seen how destroyed I was, and she'd agreed to be on standby, ready to corroborate my story if needed. At 3 p.m., I got a text from Derek. "I'm on my way, are you ready?" I typed back, "As ready as I'll ever be." "Good, let's end this." At 4 p.m., I pulled up to my parents' house, the same house I'd grown up in, the same house I'd been kicked out of 3 years ago. The driveway was packed with cars. My parents, Vanessa, Josh, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone was here. I sat in my car for a moment, staring at the front door. My hands were shaking. Christmas lights twinkled on the roof, a wreath hung on the door, everything looked so perfect, so normal. But nothing about this family was normal. This was it, no turning back. I grabbed the envelope from my passenger seat. Inside were printed copies of the text messages between Derek and me, every single one, proof that there was nothing inappropriate, proof that Vanessa had lied. I also had Derek's signed letter, confessing the truth and apologizing for his role in what happened. And I had one more thing, a flash drive. On it was the recording of Derek admitting everything. I took a deep breath and stepped out of the car. When I walked through the front door, the entire room went silent. My mother was in the kitchen pulling a turkey out of the oven. My father was in the living room nursing a beer. Josh was on the couch scrolling through his phone. Vanessa was standing by the Christmas tree laughing with our Aunt Carol. She saw me first. Her smile faltered just for a second, then she plastered it back on. "Amber," she said, her voice dripping with fake warmth, "you came." "I was expected to," I said evenly. My mother emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. She looked at me like I was a stray dog that had wandered in. "Well," she said, "it's about time. No hug, no Merry Christmas, just judgment." I smiled, "Merry Christmas, Mom." Josh glanced up from his phone, nodded at me, then went back to scrolling. My father didn't even acknowledge me. This was the family I was supposed to act like I belonged to. Aunt Carol gave me a tight smile. "Good to see you, honey, it's been too long." "Yeah," I said, "too long." I walked into the living room and sat down on the couch, placing the envelope on the coffee table in front of me. Vanessa's eyes flicked to it. "What's that?" "Just some paperwork," I said casually. "Christmas cards, you know." She didn't look convinced, but she didn't push. The next 20 minutes were awkward. People made small talk. My mother barked orders from the kitchen. My father complained about traffic. Josh stayed glued to his phone. Vanessa kept glancing at me, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. I could feel the tension building, the calm before the storm. Dinner was called at 4:45. We all gathered around the table, my parents at the heads, Vanessa and me on opposite sides, Josh next to Dad, Aunt Carol and Uncle Ron filling in the gaps. Just as my mother was about to say grace, the doorbell rang. My mother frowned. "Who could that be?" I stood up. "I'll get it." Vanessa's eyes locked on me. "Amber, who?" "Just a minute," I said, walking to the door. I opened it to find Derek standing on the porch, holding a bottle of wine. "Sorry I'm late," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. traffic was brutal. I stepped aside and he walked in. The dining room fell silent. Vanessa's face went white. She stood up so fast her chair nearly fell over. "Derek," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "what are you doing here?" "Amber invited me," he said simply. He looked at me. "I think it's time we all had an honest conversation." My mother's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "What is going on?" "Sit down, Mom," I said. "This won't take long." Vanessa's eyes darted between me and Derek. "Amber, what are you doing?" "Telling the truth," I said, "something you should have done 3 years ago." I reached into the envelope and pulled out the stack of papers. I placed them in the center of the table. "These are the text messages between Derek and me," I said, "all of them from 3 years ago. Read them. You'll see there was nothing inappropriate, nothing romantic, nothing that justified what you did to me." My father picked up the papers, his brow furrowed. My mother leaned over his shoulder. Vanessa's hands were shaking. "Amber, stop this. You're embarrassing yourself." "Am I?" I turned to Derek. "Tell them." Derek took a deep breath. He looked at Vanessa, and for the first time I saw genuine anger in his eyes. "I never cheated on you," he said, "and Amber never tried to seduce me. You made that up because you were scared I was going to leave you. You used Amber as a scapegoat to manipulate me into staying." Vanessa's face turned red. "That's not true." "It is true," Derek said, "and you know it." My mother looked up from the papers, her face pale. "Vanessa, is this true?" "No," Vanessa's voice cracked. "He's lying, they're both lying." "Then explain these," I said, pulling out my phone. I pressed play on the recording. Derek's voice filled the room. "She knows there was nothing between us. She's always known. She just needed someone to blame." Vanessa lunged for my phone, but Derek stepped between us. "Stop," he said firmly. "It's over, Vanessa, the lies, the manipulation, all of it." Tears streamed down her face. "You don't understand. I was trying to save our marriage." "By destroying your sister," my mother's voice was cold, flat. Vanessa turned to her, desperation in her eyes. "Mom, please, you have to believe me." But my mother just stared at her, silent. My father set the papers down. He looked at me, and for the first time in 3 years I saw something other than disappointment in his eyes. "Regret." "Amber," he said quietly, we need to talk." I picked up my envelope. "No, Dad, you needed to listen 3 years ago, but you didn't, so now you get to sit here and realize what you did, what you all did." I looked around the table, at Vanessa sobbing into her hands, at my mother pale and speechless, at Josh finally looking up from his phone with wide eyes, at Aunt Carol, her mouth hanging open. And I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no victory. Just emptiness. "Merry Christmas," I said. And then I walked out the door. I made it to my car before the tears came. Not tears of sadness, tears of rage, of relief, of 3 years of buried pain finally clawing its way to the surface. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I couldn't drive, not yet. I just sat there in the driveway watching the Christmas lights blink on and off, listening to the muffled chaos inside the house. Through the window I could see shadows moving. Vanessa's silhouette, her arms flailing, my mother pacing, Derek standing still, his posture rigid. Good, let them fight, let them tear each other apart the way they tore me apart. My phone buzzed, a text from Derek. "Are you okay?" I didn't respond. I wasn't okay. I didn't know if I'd ever be okay. But I'd done it, I'd exposed the truth, and that had to count for something. Another buzz, this time from Maya. "How'd it go? Do you need me to come get you?" I typed back with shaking fingers, "It's done, I'm leaving, I'll call you later." I was about to start the car when the front door burst open. "Josh." He ran down the driveway toward me, his face flushed, his breath coming in clouds in the cold air. I rolled down my window. "What do you want, Josh?" He bent down, his hands on his knees, trying to catch his breath. "Wait, just wait." "I'm done waiting," I said. "I've waited 3 years for someone in this family to care about the truth." "I know," his voice cracked. "I know, and I'm sorry." I stared at him, my baby brother, the one who'd looked at me like a stranger when Vanessa made her accusations, the one who'd said nothing, done nothing. Sorry doesn't fix anything, I said. I know it doesn't, he straightened up, shoving his hands in his pockets, but I need you to know I never believed her, not really. My breath caught. What? Vanessa, he said, I never believed her story. It didn't make sense. You're not that kind of person, but I was 19 and stupid and scared of making things worse, so I just stayed quiet. You stayed quiet, I repeated. My voice was hollow while they destroyed me. Yeah, he looked down at his shoes. And I hate myself for it. Every day I should have said something, I should have defended you, but I didn't, and I'm so sorry. Part of me wanted to yell at him, to tell him that his silence was just as bad as Vanessa's lies. But another part of me saw the guilt in his eyes, the way his shoulders slumped, and I realized he was just a kid back then. A scared kid who didn't know how to stand up to our parents. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Because you deserve to know, he said, and because I don't want to lose you again. I know I don't have the right to ask, but can we try to fix this? I looked at him for a long moment, then I sighed. I don't know, Josh, I really don't know. He nodded. Okay, that's fair. He stepped back from the car. Just don't disappear again, please. I didn't promise him anything. I just rolled up the window and drove away. I didn't go home. I couldn't. My apartment felt too small, too suffocating. Instead, I drove to the park near my old high school, the same park where I used to go when I needed to think, to breathe, to escape. It was nearly empty now, just a few dog walkers and a couple sitting on a bench. I parked near the frozen pond and sat there, watching my breath fog up the windows. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Text from my mother, Amber, come back, we need to talk about this as a family. Text from Aunt Carol, honey, I had no idea, I'm so sorry. Text from Vanessa, you ruined everything, I hope you're happy. I deleted them all without responding. Then my phone rang, my father. I stared at his name on the screen. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but another part of me, the part that still stupidly hoped for something, answered. What? I said. Where are you? His voice was gruff, but there was something underneath it. Something that sounded almost like concern. Does it matter? Amber, listen. No, you listen, I cut him off. For 3 years you treated me like I didn't exist, like I was the villain in some story Vanessa made up. You didn't ask questions, you didn't give me a chance to explain, you just believed her. So why should I listen to anything you have to say now? Silence, then, because I was wrong. Those 4 words hit me harder than I expected. You were wrong, I repeated. That's it, that's all you have to say. No, he cleared his throat. I was wrong and I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. I should have questioned Vanessa's story, but I didn't, and I let my pride get in the way of seeing the truth. I pressed my lips together, fighting the tears that threatened to spill over. Your mother and I, he paused, we failed you, and I don't know how to fix that, but I want to try. I don't know if you can, I said quietly. I know, but I'm asking for the chance. I closed my eyes. I need time, Dad. I can't just come back and pretend everything's okay. Not after what happened tonight, not after everything. I understand, he sounded tired, defeated. Just don't shut us out completely, please. I didn't respond, I just hung up. I stayed at the park until it got dark, then I drove to Maya's apartment. She opened the door before I even knocked, pulling me into a tight hug. You did it, she said. You actually did it. I nodded against her shoulder. Yeah, I did. She pulled back, studying my face. So why don't you look happy? Because it doesn't feel the way I thought it would, I admitted. We walked into her living room and I collapsed onto her couch. I thought I'd feel vindicated, powerful, like I'd won, but I just feel empty. Maya sat down next to me, tucking her legs under her. That's because revenge isn't really about winning, it's about closure, and closure is messy. I don't even know if I got closure, I said. I just opened a bunch of old wounds. Maybe, she said, but you also told the truth, and that matters. We sat in silence for a moment, then Maya asked, what are you going to do now? I don't know, I said. Part of me wants to cut them all off completely. Block their numbers, move to a different city, start over again, but another part of me wonders if that's just running away. Would it be running away, Maya asked, or would it be protecting yourself? I didn't have an answer. I spent Christmas Day at Maya's apartment. We watched movies, ate takeout, and avoided talking about my family. It was nice, normal, exactly what I needed. But the texts and calls didn't stop. My mother called 6 times, my father called twice. Josh sent a long text apologizing again and begging me to reconsider cutting contact. Aunt Carol sent a message saying she wanted to hear my side of the story 3 years too late. And Vanessa, she sent one text. This isn't over. I stared at those 3 words, a chill running down my spine. What did that mean? Was she threatening me, planning something? I showed the text to Maya. Block her, Maya said immediately. She's toxic and she's trying to manipulate you again. But what if? No, Maya's voice was firm. You don't owe her anything, not an explanation, not a conversation, nothing. Block her and move on. She was right, I knew she was right. But I didn't block her, not yet. 2 days after Christmas, I got a call from Derek. We need to talk, he said. Can you meet me? About what? Vanessa, she's not taking this well. That's not my problem, I said. I know, but she's saying things, threatening things, and I think you need to know. My stomach dropped. What kind of things? Just meet me, he said, please. We met at the same coffee shop as before, Derek Liu. Ked even worse than last time, his hair was disheveled, his eyes bloodshot. What happened? I asked. She's spiraling, he said. After you left, she completely lost it. She's been calling me nonstop, sending texts, showing up at my apartment. She's convinced that if she can just get me back, everything will go back to normal. But you're divorced. Almost divorced, he corrected. The papers aren't finalized yet, and she's threatening to contest it, to drag it out as long as possible. Why are you telling me this? Because she's also talking about you, he said. She's saying you planned this whole thing to destroy her, that you manipulated me into lying, that you're trying to turn the family against her. I laughed bitterly. Of course she is. She can't accept responsibility for anything. I know, but here's the thing. I think she might try to retaliate, to come after you somehow. My blood ran cold. Come after me how? I don't know, but she's desperate, and desperate people do stupid things. I thought about her text. This isn't over. What do you think I should do? I asked. Document everything, Derek said. Every text, every call, every interaction. And if she tries anything at all, you report it. Don't let her gaslight you again. I nodded slowly. Okay. And Amber, he looked at me seriously. Be careful. I know Vanessa. I know what she's capable of when she feels cornered. Don't underestimate her. I wish I'd listened to him. 3 days later, I woke up to 15 missed calls and over 30 text messages. My heart racing, I scrolled through them. The first was from my mother. Amber, call me immediately. Then Josh, what the hell did you do? Then Aunt Carol, I can't believe you would stoop this low. My hands shook as I opened the messages, and then I saw it. A screenshot posted in our family group chat. It was a text conversation between me and Derek. Except I'd never sent those messages. The texts were explicit, flirtatious, inappropriate. I can't stop thinking about you. Vanessa doesn't have to know. Meet me tonight, I need to see you. My stomach lurched. This wasn't real, these texts were fake, photoshopped or fabricated somehow. But they looked real, convincing. And Vanessa had sent them to everyone. My mother, my father, my aunts and uncles, cousins, family, friends. With a caption, this is who Amber really is, a liar and a homewrecker, here's the proof. I couldn't breathe, the room spun around me. She'd done it, she'd retaliated exactly the way Derek said she would. And everyone believed her, again. I tried calling my mother, she didn't answer. I tried calling my father, straight to voicemail. Josh answered on the 3rd ring. How could you? His voice was raw, angry. I defended you, I believed you, and this is what you were doing the whole time. Josh, those texts are fake. Don't lie to me, he shouted. I saw them, everyone saw them. They're not real, Vanessa made them up. You're unbelievable, he said. You know what, maybe Vanessa was right about you all along. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, my entire body shaking. This couldn't be happening, not again. I called Derek. I know, he said before I could speak. I saw them, she sent them to me too. What do I do? My voice broke. How do I prove they're fake? We fight back, he said. We get proof that she fabricated them. I'll contact my lawyer. We'll figure this out. They already hate me again, I whispered. She won again. No, Derek said firmly. She hasn't won, not yet. The next 48 hours were a nightmare. Derek's lawyer examined the screenshots and confirmed they were fabricated. The metadata was all wrong, the text bubbles were slightly off, the font didn't match my actual message style, but proving it to my family, that was harder. Vanessa had covered her tracks well. She'd used apps designed to create fake text conversations. She'd made them look just real enough to be believable. And my family wanted to believe them because it was easier than admitting they'd been wrong, again. I tried reaching out to everyone. I sent emails explaining the texts were fake. I forwarded the lawyer's analysis. I even offered to let them look through my actual phone to see there were no such messages. Most of them ignored me. My mother sent one reply, I don't know what to believe anymore. That hurt more than anything. I spent New Year's Eve alone in my apartment, watching the clock tick toward midnight, wondering how everything had fallen apart so completely. At 11:58 p.m. my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello. Amber, a woman's voice, familiar but different. It's Vanessa. My entire body tensed. What do you want? I need to see you, she said. Her voice was strange, flat. Tomorrow, please, there's something I need to tell you. So you can destroy me again? No thanks. Please, and then she said something that made my blood run cold. It's about Mom. What about Mom? Just meet me, she said. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., the Starbucks on Main Street. I'll explain everything. Vanessa. But she'd already hung up. I stared at my phone, my mind racing. This had to be a trap, another manipulation, another lie. But what if it wasn't? What if something was really wrong with our mother? I didn't sleep that night. I just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out what to do. At 1:45 p.m. on New Year's Day, I walked into the Starbucks on Main Street. Vanessa was already there, sitting in the back corner, staring into a cup of coffee. She looked terrible. Her hair was unwashed, pulled into a messy bun. Her face was pale, her eyes red and swollen. She wasn't wearing makeup. I'd never seen her look so broken. I sat down across from her, my guard up, ready for whatever game she was about to play. What's wrong with Mom? I asked immediately. Vanessa looked up at me, and for the first time in my life I saw genuine fear in her eyes. Nothing, she said quietly. I lied. I needed you to come. Anger flared in my chest. Are you kidding me, you? I'm sorry, her voice cracked. I'm sorry for everything, the lies, the fake texts, all of it. I stared at her, speechless. I know you don't believe me, she continued. I know I've given you no reason to, but I'm telling the truth. I'm sorry. Why now? I asked. Why are you suddenly sorry after everything you've done? Vanessa's hands shook as she wrapped them around her coffee cup. Because I lost everything. Derek's gone, Mom and Dad barely speak to me, even Josh is angry at me, and I realized, she looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. I realized I destroyed the one person who actually cared about me, my sister. I wanted to feel something, sympathy, satisfaction, anything. But I just felt numb. You didn't care about me, I said. You cared about controlling me, about making yourself look better by making me look worse. I know, she wiped her eyes. I know, and I hate myself for it. I've hated myself for 3 years, but I was too proud to admit it, too scared of what it would mean if I was wrong. You ruined my life, Vanessa, twice. I know. And now you want forgiveness just like that. No, she shook her head. I don't expect forgiveness. I wanted you to know the truth, that I'm the one who's been wrong all along, that you didn't deserve any of what I did to you. I leaned back in my chair, studying her face, looking for signs of manipulation, of another lie. But all I saw was exhaustion, genuine bone-deep exhaustion. What do you want from me? I asked. Nothing, she said. I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry and to tell you that I'm going to fix this. I'm going to tell Mom and Dad and everyone else that those texts were fake, that I made them up, that you were telling the truth all along." "Why would you do that?" "Because it's the right thing to do." She pulled out her phone, and because I already started. She showed me her screen, a message in the family group chat. "I need to confess something. The texts I sent about Amber and Derek were fake. I created them to make Amber look bad because I was angry and scared. Amber has been telling the truth this whole time. I'm the one who's been lying. I'm sorry to everyone, but especially to Amber. I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you all to know the truth." My breath caught. You already sent it." 20 minutes ago," she said. I grabbed my phone and opened the group chat. Sure enough, there it was, Vanessa's confession. And below it, a flood of responses. "My mother, Vanessa, what have you done?" "My father, we need to talk, all of us." "Josh, I knew something was off." "Amber, I'm so sorry." "Aunt Carol, oh honey, we all owe Amber an apology." I looked up at Vanessa, my eyes stinging with tears I refused to let fall. "Why now?" I asked again. "Why after all this?" "Because I saw what I was becoming," she said, "and I didn't like it, because I realized that destroying you wasn't going to fix what's broken inside me, and because," she paused, her voice barely a whisper, "because I miss my sister." We sat in silence for a long moment. Then I stood up. "Thank you for telling the truth," I said, "but I can't do this right now. I need time." "I understand," Vanessa said. "Take all the time you need." I walked out of the Starbucks, my mind reeling, my heart pounding. Everything I thought I knew had just shifted again. And I had no idea what came next. I didn't go home after leaving the Starbucks. Instead, I drove, no destination, no plan, just drove through the city streets, past the holiday decorations that were starting to come down, past families walking together, past the life I used to think I'd have. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing, message after message flooding in. But I couldn't look at them, not yet. I needed to process what had just happened. Vanessa had actually confessed to everything. Part of me felt vindicated. Finally, after 3 years, everyone knew the truth. They knew I wasn't the villain. They knew Vanessa had lied. But another part of me felt nothing, empty, like I'd been fighting for so long that I'd forgotten what I was fighting for. I pulled into an empty parking lot overlooking the river and turned off the engine. The water was dark and choppy, reflecting the gray January sky. I finally opened my phone. 53 unread messages. I started scrolling. "My mother, Amber, please call me. We need to talk. I'm so sorry." "My father, I don't know how to make this right, but I want to try. Please come home." "Josh, I feel like the worst brother in the world. Can we meet? I want to explain. I want to apologize properly." "Aunt Carol, sweetheart, I should have believed you from the start. I'm ashamed of myself." Even people I barely remembered from extended family were reaching out, apologizing, asking for forgiveness. And then there was Derek. "Vanessa told me what she did. I'm proud of her for finally telling the truth. How are you holding up?" I didn't know how to answer that question. How was I holding up? I'd spent 3 years rebuilding my life after it was destroyed. I'd learned to live without my family. I'd made peace with being alone. And now, suddenly, they all wanted me back. But did I want them back? The question sat heavy in my chest. I stayed in that parking lot for 2 hours, watching the sun start to set, casting orange and pink across the water. Finally, I called Maya. "Hey," she answered immediately. "I saw the group chat. Vanessa actually confessed. Are you okay?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "I thought I'd feel relieved or happy or something, but I just feel tired." "That makes sense," Maya said gently. "You've been carrying this for 3 years. It's not just going to disappear because Vanessa said sorry." "Everyone's reaching out," I said, apologizing, asking me to come back, and I don't know what to do. "What do you want to do?" I was quiet for a moment. "I don't know. Part of me wants to tell them all to go to hell, that they don't get to hurt me for 3 years and then just apologize their way back into my life. That's fair. But another part of me," I trailed off, "another part of me misses them, misses having a family even if they're a mess." "Also fair," Maya said. "There's no right answer here, Amber. You get to decide what's best for you, not them, you." I nodded even though she couldn't see me. I think I need to talk to them face to face, but I need to do it on my terms. Then do that, Maya said, and if you need me there for support, just say the word. Thank you, I said, for everything, for being there when no one else was. That's what friends are for, she said. Now go home, get some sleep, and tomorrow you can figure out what comes next. I didn't sleep well that night. I kept replaying Vanessa's confession in my mind, the look on her face, the brokenness in her voice. Was it real, or was this just another manipulation? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it didn't matter. Because even if Vanessa was genuinely sorry, even if my family genuinely wanted to make amends, the damage had been done. The trust had been shattered, and trust, once broken, doesn't just magically repair itself. At 8 a.m., I sent a message to the family group chat. I've seen all your messages, I appreciate the apologies, but I need you all to understand something. Saying sorry isn't enough. You destroyed me 3 years ago, you believed lies without question, you threw me away like I meant nothing. And now because Vanessa finally told the truth, you want me back, but it doesn't work like that. I need time, and I need space, and I need you all to respect that. When I'm ready to talk, I'll reach out. Until then, please stop calling, please stop texting. Just give me room to breathe. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. The responses came quickly. My mother, we understand, take all the time you need. My father, you're right, we'll wait, we love you. Josh, I respect that, I'll be here when you're ready. Even Vanessa responded, thank you for not completely shutting me out, I'll wait as long as it takes. I turned off my phone and sat in the silence of my apartment. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. 2 weeks passed, 2 weeks of quiet, of healing, of figuring out who I was without the weight of my family's expectations and judgments pressing down on me. I went to work, I spent time with Maya, I started seeing a therapist, something I should have done 3 years ago but was too proud to admit I needed. Dr. Richardson was in her 50s, with kind eyes and a calm demeanor that immediately put me at ease. Tell me about your family, she said during our first session. And I did, I told her everything, the accusations, the exile, the pain, the revenge. The confession, all of it. She listened without judgment, and then she asked, what do you want your relationship with your family to look like moving forward? I'd been avoiding that question for weeks, but sitting in her office, I couldn't avoid it anymore. I don't know if I can trust them again, I admitted. Even with Vanessa's confession, even with all their apologies, how do I know they won't turn on me again the next time something goes wrong? You don't, Dr. Richardson said simply. Trust is rebuilt slowly over time through consistent actions, not words, actions. The question is, are you willing to give them the opportunity to rebuild that trust, or have they burned that bridge beyond repair? I thought about my mother's face when she called me a homewrecker, my father's disappointment, Josh's silence, Vanessa's lies. But I also thought about Josh running after me in the driveway, my father's admission that he was wrong, my mother's tearful messages, Vanessa's confession. I said slowly, I think I'm willing to try, but only if they're willing to put in the work, real work, not just apologies. Dr. Richardson smiled. That sounds like a very healthy boundary. 3 weeks after Vanessa's confession, I finally agreed to meet with my family. But I set the terms: neutral location, a park near my apartment, daytime, 1 hour, and Maya would be waiting in her car nearby just in case. I arrived early and sat on a bench overlooking a small pond. The January air was cold, biting at my cheeks, but I barely felt it. My heart was racing too fast, my mind too cluttered with thoughts. At exactly 2 p.m. they arrived. My mother and father walked together, looking older than I remembered. My mother's hair had more gray in it, my father's shoulders seemed more stooped. Josh was behind them, hands shoved deep in his pockets, his face uncertain. And bringing up the rear, keeping a careful distance, was Vanessa. She looked different too, no makeup, simple clothes, her usual confidence replaced with something that looked almost like humility. They sat down on the bench across from me, and for a long moment nobody spoke. Finally, my mother broke the silence. Thank you for meeting with us, she said. Her voice was soft, almost fragile. I know we don't deserve it. You don't, I agreed, but I'm here anyway. My father cleared his throat. We've spent the last few weeks talking, really talking, about what happened, about how we failed you, about how we let Vanessa's lies cloud our judgment. We should have listened to you, my mother added. We should have questioned her story, we should have given you the benefit of the doubt, but we didn't, and that's on us, not you. I looked at each of them, searching their faces for sincerity, for truth. Why didn't you? I asked. Why was it so easy to believe the worst about me? My mother's eyes filled with tears. Because Vanessa has always been the one who needed more attention, more validation, more protection. And somewhere along the way, we started treating you like you were fine, like you didn't need us, like you were strong enough to handle everything on your own. But that wasn't fair to you, my father said. You needed us too, and we weren't there. Josh spoke up for the first time. I was a coward. I knew something was off about Vanessa's story, but I was too scared to speak up. I was 19 and stupid, and I thought if I just stayed quiet, everything would blow over, but it didn't, and you paid the price for my cowardice. I felt tears stinging my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not yet. And what about you, Vanessa? I asked, turning to my sister. You confessed to the family, but why? What changed? Vanessa looked down at her hands. I spent 3 years lying to myself, telling myself that what I did was justified, that you deserved it because you were trying to steal my husband. But the truth is, I was jealous. I've always been jealous of you. Jealous of me? I couldn't keep the disbelief out of my voice. You were the golden child, the perfect one. What could you possibly have been jealous of? You were real, Vanessa said quietly. You were genuine. People liked you because of who you were, not because of what you'd accomplished or how you looked. Derek liked you. Mom and Dad liked you, even if they didn't show it well, and I couldn't stand it, so I made you the villain, because if you were the bad guy, then I could be the victim. And everyone would feel sorry for me instead of questioning why my marriage was falling apart. She looked up at me, and I saw genuine remorse in her eyes. But destroying you didn't make me feel better, it just made me hate myself more, and when I sent those fake texts trying to ruin you again, I realized I'd become a monster, a person I didn't recognize, and I couldn't live with that anymore. The tears I'd been holding back finally spilled over, not tears of sadness, tears of release, of a way. GHT I'd been carrying finally beginning to lift. I don't know if I can forgive you, I said to all of them. Not right now, maybe not ever. What you did, it broke something in me, and I've spent 3 years trying to put myself back together. We understand, my mother said. We're not asking for immediate forgiveness, we just want a chance to prove we can do better, to be better. How? I asked. How do I know this isn't temporary, that the next time something goes wrong you won't turn on me again? My father leaned forward. You don't know, and we can't promise we'll never mess up again, but we can promise that we'll listen, that we'll question, that we'll give you the benefit of the doubt, that we'll show up even when it's uncomfortable. And I'll work on myself, Vanessa added. I'm seeing a therapist, dealing with my jealousy and insecurity and need for control, because I don't want to be that person anymore, the person who destroys the people she loves. I wiped my eyes and took a deep breath. Okay, I said, here's what I need: space, time, and boundaries. I'm not ready to jump back into being a family again, but I'm willing to try, slowly, on my terms. Whatever you need, my mother said. I mean it, I said firmly. No more demands, no more expectations that I'll just show up and pretend everything's fine. If I need time alone, you respect that. If I need to cancel plans, you respect that. And if at any point this feels like it's hurting me more than helping me, I walk away, and you let me. They all nodded. We understand, my father said. We'll follow your lead. The next few months were hard, harder than I expected. We started with phone calls, once a week, just checking in. My mother would tell me about her garden. My father would complain about work. Josh would send me funny memes and videos. Vanessa and I didn't talk much at first. The wound was too fresh. But slowly, carefully, we started exchanging messages. Nothing deep, just small acknowledgments that we were both still here, still trying. In March, I agreed to meet my parents for coffee, just the three of us. We talked about safe topics: work, weather, the new restaurant that opened downtown. It felt awkward and forced, but it was a start. In April, Josh came over to my apartment. We ordered pizza and watched a movie, and for a few hours it felt almost normal. Like we were just siblings hanging out, not two people trying to rebuild a broken relationship. In May, Vanessa asked if we could meet, just the two of us. I almost said no, but something made me say yes. We met at the same Starbucks where she'd confessed. She ordered for both of us. She remembered my usual order, and we sat in the back corner just like before. "How's therapy going?" I asked. "Hard," she admitted, "but good. I'm learning a lot about myself, about why I do the things I do." "Like what?" "Like how I've always measured my worth by external validation, grades, career, marriage, and when those things started falling apart, I panicked. I thought if I wasn't perfect, I wasn't valuable." "That's exhausting," I said. "It really is," she agreed. "I'm trying to learn how to just be without needing constant approval." We talked for an hour, really talked, about our childhood, about the pressure she felt to be perfect, about the invisibility I felt being the middle child, about how our parents' expectations had damaged us both, just in different ways. "I don't think we'll ever be close like we were when we were kids," Vanessa said, "but I hope we can be something someday." "Maybe," I said, "but it's going to take time." "I know," she said, "and I'm willing to wait." Summer came, and with it another test. My parents' 40th wedding anniversary. They were planning a small party, just immediate family, and they wanted me there. I hesitated. Being in that house again, surrounded by all those memories, felt overwhelming. But Dr. Richardson encouraged me to go. "It's a chance to create new memories," she said, "to prove to yourself that you can be in that space without being defined by what happened there." So I went. I brought Maya as my plus one, my safety net, and walked through the front door on a Saturday afternoon in June. The house looked different, smaller somehow, less intimidating. My mother had decorated with photos from their 40 years together, pictures of their wedding, of me and Vanessa and Josh as babies, of family vacations and holidays and ordinary moments that seemed precious now. There was even a photo of me from my college graduation, smiling, genuinely happy before everything fell apart. My mother saw me looking at it. "I never took it down," she said quietly, even during those 3 years, I couldn't bring myself to put it away." I didn't know what to say to that. The party was small, just us and a few close family friends, people who knew what had happened, who had apologized. Aunt Carol pulled me aside at one point. "I'm so glad you're here," she said. "I know it can't be easy, but it means the world to your parents and to all of us." "I'm trying," I said. "That's all anyone can ask." As the evening wore on, I found myself relaxing, laughing at my father's terrible jokes, listening to my mother's stories, watching Josh try to fix the sound system and making it worse. And Vanessa, she stayed on the periphery, respecting my space, but I caught her looking at me several times, not with jealousy or resentment, with something that looked almost like hope. At one point, my father stood up and clinked his glass. "I want to say something," he announced. The room went quiet. 40 years ago, I married the love of my life," he said, looking at my mother. "And together we built a family, 3 incredible kids who we love more than words can express." He paused, his eyes finding mine. "We haven't been perfect parents. We've made mistakes, big ones. We've hurt people we love, but we're trying to do better, and having all 3 of our children here tonight," his voice cracked, "it means everything." My mother reached for his hand, tears streaming down her face. Josh raised his glass, "To Mom and Dad and to second chances." Everyone raised their glasses, including me. "To second chances," I echoed. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I was actually part of this family again. It's been 8 months since that Christmas dinner, 8 months since I exposed Vanessa's lies, 8 months since everything changed. My relationship with my family isn't perfect. There are still hard days, still moments where old wounds resurface, still times when I question whether I made the right choice by letting them back in. But there are good days too, days where my mother calls just to chat, where my father sends me articles he thinks I'd find interesting, where Josh texts me memes that actually make me laugh. And Vanessa, we're not close, we may never be close again, but we're civil, we're trying, and sometimes that's enough. Last week she got engaged to someone new, someone who treats her well, according to Josh. She called to tell me herself. I wanted you to hear it from me, she said, not from Mom or the family group chat. Congratulations, I said, and I meant it. Thank you, she said, and Amber, I know I don't say this enough, but thank you for giving me another chance, for giving all of us another chance. We don't deserve it, but I'm grateful for it every day. I'm not doing it for you, I said honestly. I'm doing it for me because I deserve to have a family, even an imperfect one. We're definitely imperfect, she laughed, but we're trying. Yeah, I said, we are. This morning I got an email from my mother. The subject line read, Christmas plans. My heart clenched. Christmas, the holiday that had become a battlefield. I opened the email. Amber, I know Christmas is still months away, but I wanted to reach out early. No pressure, no expectations, but if you want to join us this year, we'd love to have you. If you're not ready, we understand. Whatever you decide, we love you. I stared at the email for a long time. Last Christmas, I'd walked into that house armed with evidence and anger, ready to burn everything down. This Christmas, I had a choice, to stay away and protect myself, or to show up and continue building something new. I thought about Dr. Richardson's words, trust is rebuilt through consistent actions over time. My family had been showing up consistently for 8 months, not perfectly, but genuinely. Maybe it was time I showed up too. I hit reply. I'll be there, but I'm bringing Maya, and we're leaving by 8 p.m. Deal. My mother's response came within minutes. Deal, we'll set extra places at the table. I love you, sweetheart. I closed my laptop and looked out the window. Snow was starting to fall, the first snow of the season. A year ago I was broken, angry, alone. Now I'm still healing, still learning to trust, still figuring out what family means to me. But I'm not alone anymore. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's more than enough. The Christmas my family finally paid for what they did to me wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about winning or losing. It was about truth, about consequences, about breaking a cycle of lies and manipulation that had poisoned us for years. They paid with their guilt, with their shame, with the realization that they'd destroyed something precious. And I paid too, with years of pain, with lost time, with trust that may never fully return. But we're all still here, still trying, still showing up. And maybe that's what family really is, not perfection, not unconditional love without accountability. But people who mess up, own it, and do the hard work of making it right. People who show up even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's hard. People who give you space when you need it and welcome you back when you're ready. My family isn't perfect. They hurt me in ways that will never fully heal. But they're trying, really trying. And so am I. This Christmas, when I walk through that door, I won't be carrying evidence or anger. I'll be carrying hope. Hope that we can be better, that we can build something new from the ashes of what we destroyed. Hope that family isn't just about blood, it's about choice, about choosing to show up, to forgive, to heal. And maybe, just maybe, that's what redemption really looks like. Not a single moment, not one grand gesture. But 1,000 small choices, to listen, to believe, to try again. So if you're out there watching this, carrying your own pain from your own family, I see you, I understand. And I want you to know you get to choose, you get to decide what forgiveness looks like for you, you get to set boundaries, you get to protect yourself. But you also get to hope, if you want to. You get to believe that people can change, that families can heal, that broken things can be made whole again, even if they'll never be the same. The Christmas my family finally paid for what they did to me taught me something important. Justice isn't always about punishment. Sometimes it's about truth, about accountability, about creating space for real change. And sometimes the greatest revenge isn't destruction. It's healing. It's showing them and yourself that you're stronger than what broke you. That you can rebuild, survive, thrive. With or without them. And if they do the work, if they show up consistently, if they prove they've changed, then maybe, just maybe, you can rebuild together. But only if you want to, only on your terms, only when you're ready. Because you deserve a family that sees you, that values you, that fights for you. And if your current family can't be that, then you build a new one with friends who become family, with people who choose you every single day. Either way, you win. Because you survive, you heal, you become whole again. And that's the real victory. Thank you for staying with me through this journey. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, your worth isn't determined by how your family treats you. You are valuable exactly as you are, always.